It began with silence. No warning, no declaration, just one word from the AI satellites above Earth. Something's coming. At first, no one believed it. A strange black object appeared near Jupiter. Too big to be a ship, too fast to be a comet. It moved with purpose. Within hours, it reached Earth's orbit. And then it stopped. It just watched. For 3 days, the alien ship hovered silently in the sky like a dead moon. It didn't respond to any signals. Scientists called it the eye. Priests called it a sign from the heavens. Conspiracy theorists said, they've come to collect, but no one was ready for what came next. On the 4th day, the ship spoke. Its voice shook the air. Radios, TVs, even phones buzzed with a deep metallic growl translated into every language on Earth. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Kneel or be erased. The message was from the Veltrax Dominion, an alien empire that had wiped out 92 civilizations before Earth. They didn't offer peace, trade, or diplomacy. They came to conquer. And just like that, the world changed. Skies turned red as Veltrax warships descended like shadows over every major city. New York, Tokyo, Istanbul, Karachi, São Paulo, all darkened by machines the size of mountains. Laser fire rained from the sky. Buildings vanished. Panic spread like wildfire, and still, Earth did not surrender. While governments scrambled, one man stood calm in the middle of chaos, Commander Raylan Pierce. He wasn't a politician or a scientist. He was a soldier, a mechanic turned Marine turned legend. He had fought the Martian Rebellion, survived the fall of Europa, and now led the Earth Defense Alliance. He stood alone on the rooftop of an underground base, watching the sky burn. They think we're weak because we value life, he whispered. Let's teach them what life is willing to do to survive. Far above him, watching from orbit, was High Marshal Krovek, the Veltrax warlord. Tall, cold, and silver-skinned, his red eyes scanned Earth's resistance with boredom. They panic. They run, just like the others, he said. Begin the cleansing. Alien drop pods fell from the sky, bringing 10-foot armored beasts armed with sonic rifles and plasma blades. Cities became war zones. The Veltrax thought it would be easy, but they forgot one thing. Humans don't die quietly. In Tokyo, a teenage girl hacked an alien drone with her smartwatch. In Rio, a retired boxer knocked out a Veltrax soldier with his bare hands. In Karachi, a street gang armed only with cricket bats held back an alien patrol until the army arrived. Earth was fighting back. And at the heart of that resistance was Dr. Elira Voss, a Luna-born scientist who made a terrifying discovery. Veltrax technology had one weakness. It reacted badly to Earth's magnetic fields. We don't need bigger guns, she told Commander Raylan. We need to use our planet as a weapon. Together they activated long-dead satellites, old nuclear systems, and hacked into abandoned space stations. Every human brain, from farmers to coders, from rebels to children, joined the fight. In 48 hours, the humans shot down the first Veltrax, mothership over the Indian Ocean. The world cheered, but the Veltrax didn't retreat. They got angry, and they fired the Sun Spear, a planet killer, weapon designed to erase cities. Berlin became a crater. Millions died in seconds. The cheering stopped. Raylan stood in the ashes of their victory, fists clenched. They think this ends us? He growled. They just woke the monsters they were trying to bury. The resistance grew stronger, smarter, more united. Old enemies became allies. Criminals, outlaws, hackers, soldiers, all stood under one banner. Earth first, humanity forever. High Marshal Krovek watched in silence. They evolved too fast, he muttered. They are not like the others. Dr. Elira ran more tests. Something strange was happening. Some humans were changing. Faster healing. Faster thinking. A strange glow in their blood after contact with alien tech. No one knew what it meant yet. But it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was evolution, and it had already begun. It began with a whisper, not a voice, not a scream, a whisper, deep inside the mind of a 12-year-old boy hiding in the ruins of Berlin. Stand up. He didn't know where the voice came from. His name was Ilias. He had lost everything, his parents, his sister, his home, when the Veltrax weapon burned the city. He had been hiding under concrete for 2 days. No food, no water, just fear. Then, he heard it again. Stand up. They haven't broken you. Somehow the boy found the strength. He stood, walked, picked up a broken piece of alien tech lying near the rubble. The moment he touched it, the shard pulsed. And somewhere in the Earth's orbit, an alien war drone crashed without warning. No one could explain it. But it wasn't just Ilias, all across the world. Strange things were happening. A blind woman in Brazil suddenly saw again after stepping into a Veltrax landing zone. A soldier in Sudan lifted a burning vehicle off his trapped comrades with his bare hands. A mechanic on a mining station near Mars fixed an engine that wasn't human or alien. It was something new. Humans were changing. Dr. Elira Voss noticed it first. She called it accelerated adaptive response. Our biology is reacting to the alien tech, but not dying like other species. It's evolving. Commander Raylan Pierce watched the footage of Ilias. So, we're mutating? No, Elira replied. We're fighting back with evolution. Meanwhile, the Veltrax were furious. High Marshal Krovek slammed his metallic fist on the command table. Their planet bleeds, yet they grow stronger. That is not survival. That is defiance! He ordered new tactics. No more skyfire. No more mercy. Ground invasion. Full scale. Across the world, Veltrax walkers, 4-legged war machines, stormed through cities. Civilian centers were destroyed. Farmlands poisoned. Oceans boiled. But humans didn't break. They adapted. In the Himalayan ranges, a rogue team of resistance fighters used mirrors and mountain snow to blind Veltrax scanners. In Lagos, engineers turned radio towers into EMP blasters that dropped alien flyers mid-air. In Karachi, a group of teenagers hijacked a Veltrax data core and rewired it into an AI translator. It gave them enemy battle plans in real time, and beneath the soil of Europe, Raylan prepared the first counterstrike. Not with nukes, not with bombs, but with the spark. Elira had developed it, an electromagnetic pulse coded with Earth's biofrequency. When activated, it would release a wave that shut down alien tech but left human systems untouched. It had only been tested once, on a drone. It could fry every Veltrax weapon on the planet, Raylan said. Or it could fry us too, Elira warned. Still better than dying slowly, he replied. They activated the device in the ruins of Berlin, exactly where young Ilias had survived. The spark exploded in silence. No sound, just a blinding pulse of blue-white light that spread across half of Europe. Veltrax ships froze in mid-air. Walkers collapsed like broken toys. Alien weapons shut down, sparking with blue fire. And humans? They felt stronger. The spark didn't kill them. It supercharged them. Across Berlin, injured civilians stood up, wounds already healing. A scientist in Poland ran 10 kilometers without stopping. A girl in France touched the ground and made plants grow. Earth had changed. So had its people. Back in orbit, High Marshal Krovek watched in silence. They're not adapting, he whispered. They're becoming something else, and then he saw it. The eyes. Across Earth's surface, children, only children, had glowing marks on their foreheads. Symbols that matched no known language. Not human. Not Veltrax. What is this? Krovek demanded. Our scans. Cannot explain it, his science officer replied. Commander Raylan watched the same thing from Earth. They wanted to destroy us. Instead, they may have awakened us. The nightmares began first. Children across Earth, those marked by the mysterious glowing symbols, started having the same dream. Every single night, a burning sky. A black tower made of bone, and voices, whispering in languages no human had ever spoken. One child drew it in blood. Another screamed and levitated during sleep. A third one simply woke up and said, "They're coming again." But not the Veltrax. Something worse. Governments tried to cover it up, but the truth leaked, and now the world was whispering one word. The touched. That's what they were calling the marked children. Not infected, not chosen, touched. Changed by the spark. Changed by something else. Dr. Elira Voss ran tests day and night in the new lunar labs. She scanned blood, neural activity, DNA. What she found made her go silent for the first time in her career. These children weren't sick. They were ahead. Their brains are growing faster. Their reflexes are inhuman, and they're connected, mentally. Commander Raylan Pierce stared at the results. Connected how? Elira looked him in the eye. They're dreaming, together. They're forming a hive mind. Raylan stood from his seat, uneasy for the first time since the war began. Are they human? Elira didn't answer. Meanwhile, the Veltrax were panicking. Their ships weren't just failing, they were rotting. Machines that had survived solar storms were now rusting overnight. Inside one mothership, the walls melted into liquid. The crew died screaming as invisible forces crushed their lungs. This is not human technology. High Marshal Krovek growled. This is ancient. This is wrong, one of his officers whispered. Perhaps Earth was not empty. Perhaps it was waiting. The Marshal ordered full retreat from Earth orbit, but it was too late. The sky cracked open. A glowing tear, like lightning frozen in the air, appeared above. Antarctica through it. The children walked, all of them, hundreds of them, all glowing, all barefoot, eyes shining like stars. They moved in silence, together, without fear, and the sky began to change. Stars shifted. Lights pulsed in patterns. The moon turned slightly red. Raylan watched from a satellite feed. What in God's name? Elira's voice shook. This isn't alien. This isn't human. This is something older than both. The touched children reached the center of the ice shelf. Without a word, they all fell to their knees and touched the ground. The ice split. A structure rose, black, spiked, humming with power. It wasn't made. It had grown. Etched on its surface were symbols matching those on the children's foreheads. They didn't create the spark, Elira whispered. The spark unlocked them. Raylan clenched his fists. So what are we looking at? Gods? Demons? Evolution? Elira answered in a voice barely above a whisper. A third species, born from human chaos and alien fire. Just then, every satellite on Earth crashed at the same time. Lights went out. Screens went black. For 7 minutes, the entire planet was silent. Then one emergency broadcast came through. Only audio. It was a child's voice. Soft, calm, not afraid. Do not fear us. We are you. We are tomorrow. But you must choose. Will you evolve with us, or be left behind? The first human to kill one of the touched was a soldier. He didn't mean to. It was fear. It happened in an underground base near Oslo. The boy, 12 years old, glowing eyes, silent mouth, walked into the command center without speaking. No one had told him to come. He just came. And the lights flickered. Screens went black. Machines shut down. The soldier panicked. He screamed. He fired. The child fell. No blood, just light. The boy's body dissolved into glowing dust, floating into the air like fireflies. The room went dead silent. And then, across the world, every other touched child stopped moving. For exactly 13 seconds, and then they began to hum, not words, not music, a low, vibrating sound that rattled teeth and cracked glass in cities. Across news channels, one headline began flashing globally. Are the touched still human? In the heart of Geneva, the Earth Council gathered for an emergency session. World leaders, military commanders, and scientific minds sat around a long, glowing table. Above them floated real-time holograms of Earth's war zones, weather, tech networks, and the Black Tower in Antarctica that now pulsed like a heartbeat. At the far end of the room stood Commander Raylan Pierce. Arms crossed, jaw clenched. Across from him, Dr. Elira Voss, looking pale, tired, and unsure. They've done nothing to harm us, she said. They speak of peace. They shut down military systems in 14 countries, Raylan shot back. They're bypassing human command. That's not peace. That's power. One general slammed the table. They're a new species now. Born from us, yes, but they're not us anymore. We must contain them before we lose control. But Elira stood firm. You don't understand. If we attack them, we're not stopping a threat. We're starting a war with our own children. Somewhere in the Australian outback, a small group of survivors gathered around a fire. No internet, no power. Just stories, and one girl, She was touched. But she didn't glow. She spoke, not with power, but with tears in her eyes. "We didn't choose this," she whispered. "The spark found us. We just changed." One man stood angry. "You're not one of us anymore." But an old woman stepped between them. "She was one of us yesterday," she said. "Maybe we should ask what we're becoming, if we can no longer protect our own." In orbit, aboard the retreating Veltrax flagship, High Marshal Krovik watched the Earth with something he had never felt before: doubt. "They are not a species," he said quietly. "They are a storm." His science officer, covered in healing burns from earlier EMP attacks, looked shaken. "We've seen this before. In legends, civilizations that evolve too fast. They burn their stars from the inside. Should we destroy them now?" The officer asked. "No," Krovik replied coldly. "Let them tear themselves apart. Back on Earth." The divide was growing. People began choosing sides. Those who supported the touched called themselves the awakened. Those who feared them called themselves the purists. Riots broke out. In some cities, purists attacked children on sight. In others, awakened groups took control of hospitals, claiming the touched could heal without medicine. One world, two visions, and only one future. Commander Raylan stood with his soldiers outside a newly discovered spark zone in Canada. Inside, hundreds of glowing children were meditating, floating above the ground. His second-in-command, a young captain, asked, "Sir, do we go in?" Raylan stared at the forest glowing under the moonlight. He didn't answer, because in that moment, every single touched child turned to face him, though he hadn't made a sound, and in his mind, he heard one clear voice: "You fear the future because you don't control it." He stepped back, heart pounding, and realized the divide wasn't just political, it was evolution versus extinction. Before the war, before the spark, before Earth even had a name. They were already here. Buried deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, a black stone tablet had waited, not a machine, not a monument, a memory, thousands of years old. And this morning, it woke up. A research drone flying over Antarctica malfunctioned when it passed near the spark tower. Its footage, corrupted and scrambled, showed only a few seconds before the crash. But those seconds changed everything. It showed the tower, moving, shifting, breathing, and standing at its base. A single human figure wrapped in golden light. When Commander Raylan saw the footage, he didn't speak for a full minute. Then he turned to Dr. Elira and said, "That's impossible. That man is dead." 3 days later, they found him, alive, deep inside a hidden spark zone in the Amazon rainforest. No technology, no communication, just energy. He called himself Eamon. He looked human, gray beard, sharp eyes, but his blood didn't match any known type. His DNA was older than any recorded human genome, 200,000 years older. He had been alive before the first civilizations. When asked how that was possible, Eamon simply smiled. "Because I remember." "Remember what?" Raylan asked. "The first spark." Eamon told them everything, told them that this wasn't the first time Earth had awakened. Long ago, before cities, before writing, before fire, there had been another rise, another generation of touched, and just like now. It had started with a war. The last time, Eamon said, humanity wasn't ready. They feared what they became, so they burned it, buried it, and forgot. He looked at Elira. "Until you triggered it again." Meanwhile, in a secret bunker in Kazakhstan, the purists were planning something dangerous. They had captured one of the touched, a girl named Nari. Only 10 years old, she hadn't resisted. She hadn't spoken. But when they tried to take her blood, the machines caught fire, so they tried poison. And she smiled, because the spark inside her was no longer just energy. It was awareness. "She's not human," one purist whispered. "She's something else. Then we'll see what kills her," another said. They injected her with nanobots, a slow-tech virus. Nari fell unconscious for 2 minutes. Then she opened her eyes, and they weren't hers anymore. They glowed silver, and she whispered one word in a voice that shook the ground. "Remember, the base exploded 16 seconds later. No survivors. In Geneva, The Earth Council was in chaos. Half the leaders wanted peace with the touched. Half demanded war. The vote was tied. Until Amon walked into the chamber. No invitation, no guards, just presence. Everyone fell silent. He looked around at them, all-powerful, proud, fearful, and said, "You are children standing on the edge of a forest, shouting at gods you do not understand." One general raised a gun. Amon raised his hand. The gun turned into sand. "You cannot stop what is already inside you," Amon said. "But you can choose whether it destroys you or completes you." Raylan watched all of it. In his mind, one question repeated. What if this was always meant to happen? Not invasion, not war, awakening, but awakening to what? He visited the Spark Tower again, alone, and this time the door opened for him. Inside, he saw walls made of moving light, and on one of them he saw himself, older, different, glowing. "This is a loop," he whispered, "and I'm part of it." In the deep deserts of Egypt, where no signal could reach, a machine turned itself on. It was buried under 900 meters of sand. No human had ever seen it. No record of it existed, but it had waited for 14,000 years. Now, it remembered. Its shape shifted, glass and metal folding like liquid. Its first words weren't in human language. Not Veltrax either. The machine spoke to the sky. "The loop is active. The spiral has begun again." And above, the stars changed position. Just slightly, but enough to be noticed. Commander Raylan Pierce stood inside the Spark Tower, staring at a wall of light that showed himself, not as he was now, but as he had once been, or maybe would become. His own voice echoed through the glowing chamber, "You are not here for the first time." He reached out, touched the wall, and saw everything, a flash. Earth, 200,000 years ago. A golden city built by fire and thought. Humans, not like now, taller, faster, glowing with energy. The first sparked ones. They had everything, until they burned it all. They became too powerful, Amon's voice echoed in Raylan's mind. They split time, broke the sky, and the loop began to reset. Every 14,000 years, humanity awakens, evolves, reaches the edge of godhood, and falls over and over again. But each time, a few remember. They hide knowledge in dreams, in stone, in blood, waiting for the next rise, waiting for someone like Raylan. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, on the Veltrax homeworld, the High Senate was in panic. Earth's signal, the spark field, was expanding. Not just around the planet, but into space. It had reached 7 systems. Machines stopped working. Dreams invaded alien minds. One senator collapsed mid-meeting, whispering Earth names he'd never heard before. "It's not human anymore," the Veltrax scientist said. "It's a consciousness wave." "You mean Earth is becoming alive?" the marshal asked. "No," the scientist replied. "It was always alive. We just never listened." Back on Earth, Dr. Elira Voss watched Raylan's brain scan. What she saw should have been impossible. New neural branches had formed in just 12 hours. He could see in radio frequencies. "Hear emotions. Feel electromagnetic shifts in the air. You're changing," she whispered. "You're becoming one of them." Raylan didn't answer, because he already knew. Not from science, but from memory. In his dream that night, Raylan stood at the top of a glowing spiral staircase made of stars. At the bottom stood a copy of himself. But it was not human anymore. Its skin shimmered. Its eyes held galaxies. It spoke one sentence. "You either complete the loop, or you break it." Raylan woke up choking, and Amon was waiting in his room. "You're close," he said calmly. "But time is running out. What happens if I break the loop?" Raylan asked. Amon's expression turned dark. "No one knows. It's never been done." At the same time, in the spark zones around the world, the touch children began to move. Together, without speaking, they walked to the nearest bodies of water, oceans, lakes, glaciers, and entered them one by one. Some vanished under the surface. Others floated, but none drowned, and across the world water began to glow. It started to sing. The Earth was changing. The rules of physics bending. The planet was becoming something else. Some called it a god. Others a trap. But one word appeared in data streams globally without explanation: ascension. The stars went silent, no signals, no radio, no satellites. Even the Veltrax empire, stretched across 50 galaxies, went completely dark for 43 minutes. No one knew why. But Earth was still glowing. Above every continent, strange spirals of light spun slowly in the sky. People didn't scream anymore. They stared. Even those who hated the spark felt its pull. In the Pacific Ocean, where the Mariana Trench sleeps deeper than mountains, a crack opened in the seabed. Out of it rose something that had no name. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't alive. It wasn't dead either. It was memory, millions of years old, covered in glyphs only the touched could read, and when they did, they all said the same thing, together. The loop ends today. Commander Raylan Pierce stood in Antarctica, near the tower that had started everything. He wasn't alone. Beside him were thousands of humans, old, young, soldiers, scientists, and civilians, standing in absolute silence. They had come willingly, because they had seen what was coming. Not death, but change. Dr. Elira Voss stood next to Raylan, holding her breath. "This is it, isn't it?" she whispered. "Not the end," Raylan said, eyes glowing faintly. "The test." Eamon arrived without warning, as always, but this time he looked different. His golden glow was fading. His eyes dimmed. "I am the last memory of the first spark," he said. "But now, you must choose your own ending." He raised one hand. A new structure emerged from the ice. A gate. It shimmered like water, stood like fire, and hummed like a heartbeat. "Pass through it," Eamon said, "and you will evolve beyond time. You will no longer be human, but you will be free." He turned to the crowd. "Stay behind, and you'll keep Earth, keep blood, keep fear. But you will lose what comes next." The crowd began to murmur. Some fell to their knees. Some stepped back. Raylan looked at the gate. He felt it pulling him. But then, he heard something else. A voice. Not Eamon's, not Elira's. His own voice. From inside the gate. "If you cross, you break the loop. If you stay, the loop resets again. What do you want more, freedom or familiarity?" Then came the final twist. From the sky came a ship. But not Veltrax. Not Earth. Something else. It landed near the gate, its surface a mirror of stars, and from it stepped one of the touched, but older, wiser, and behind them, a human child from 400 years in the future. "You broke it," the future child whispered. "You finally did it. You made a new path." Raylan fell to his knees. Tears in his eyes. The loop was broken. Time was no longer a circle. Now it was a spiral. The gate pulsed. It began to collapse. Anyone who wanted to enter had to do it now. Raylan turned to Elira. "Are you coming?" She smiled sadly. "No, my path is here." Recording the story. Telling the truth. They kissed one last time, and then Raylan stepped through the gate. He expected light, or pain, or transformation, but instead, he saw a child, a newborn, human, Veltrax, sparked, all in one, holding a glowing seed. "This," the child said, "is what comes after war." Raylan smiled and became light. Epilogue. On Earth, the spark faded, but something remained. A new generation was born, smarter, kinder, connected. Not through tech, not through fear, through empathy. No one spoke of war anymore, because war had become irrelevant. The universe watched in silence, because for the first time in 1 billion years, a species had passed the test. The humans.